project-based. And it's not a skill and drill curriculum. I don't believe in that. I don't want our schools doing that.
You know, Mr. Suransky, I've learned with the DOE, and I respect, I believe that you're a sincere man, but with the DOE, I look at not what you say, and I don't mean you personally, I mean the DOE, not what you say and what is what you do. And schools are being closed, teachers are being punished, kids are being punished, and districts are being punished.
Michael, then we're going to take a question from CEC member Frank Scucciarini, Mike Riley, and Michael, behind you should be Wendy Ramos, Terry Caramanti, and Janice Donahue.
First of all, thank you for your time and thank you for coming out to answer our questions. I really appreciate my work. My child attends Trinity School. First of all, I want to appreciate and value what you said a couple of minutes ago when you started your presentation. You said that our students really are driven in the workplace by data and by showing facts. But my question to you is, what facts or data are out there to show that there's a longitudinal study that correlates third grade performance in college and career readiness? Because it doesn't exist. And to go further, I'm also a college dean, and as a discussion now, we really are very deep entrenched into looking at the fact that high-stakes testing does not assess student performance. What assesses student performance is a whole holistic view of that student. Putting them in a room for 3 hours and saying your career, your future will be driven by these performance in this test is a good way to make students stay up at night, which is my other job and what I experience at home as a parent of a third grader. I think that largely what we need to be looking at is the fact that the core issue here seems to me to come from what Mr. Pirzolo articulated before, which is that to qualify for Race to the Top funding, you need to be able to go forward and show data. And it's really nice and really easy to say, student A got a 94th percentile and student B got a 68th percentile. Therefore, student A is smarter than student B, and we need to make a judgment call that student B needs remediation and student A doesn't. I don't think that's the total picture. I don't think that's what education is all about. And I don't think that's frankly what we want to be teaching our children.
I agree with you that we need to have a holistic approach, and I think that one of the things that we've tried to model through the different pieces that I've talked about tonight, whether it's how we do promotion, whether it's how we make a decision about a school that's struggling, is that we always use a mixture of what are we seeing and feeling and the texture of what's going on, looking at the kids' work, looking at the test scores as well, because when you look at test score data, you get an important piece of information. It's not the whole piece of information. And it's sad, actually, but I can share with you, I'll email it to Sam. There is a very direct correlation between third grade performance and how kids do in college and whether or not they graduate from high school. And it's scary how direct the line is in terms of a student who comes in and scores at a low level on that first test in third grade, how hard it is for them to beat the odds and get a different outcome, 9 years later when they're finishing high school. And part of what I believe my job is to figure out how to change that equation for kids. When we know that a student is struggling, how do we create opportunities for them to beat those odds and to actually do something different? And part of the reason why, and if you haven't looked at the Common Core Library, at the curriculum that we've been working with teachers on over these past 2 years, all of it, all the materials on that website are created by New York City teachers, and all of the student work that's on that website is New York City student work. And not every single one of those units and not every assignment in there is a good one. I think they're strong, but I'm sure that there are places where they could be improved. But they're actually project-based. They encourage creativity. They encourage kids to work in teams. They encourage kids to write more, to think critically. And what we're trying to do actually is move away from the narrower curriculum that we've had for many years and encourage a lot of the kind of work that people have spoken about this evening. And I know that this is a a high anxiety moment because the state has decided to place these exams earlier than other parts of the country, and that's a decision that they've made. We don't get to choose. We get to figure out, can we take this and actually use this in a way that ends up being positive for kids? Because we will make it through this. Our kids will probably do better than a lot of other places in this state because we've been doing this deeper work with them. And those kids that don't do well, nothing bad is going to happen to them. They are going to have an opportunity to get more support.
Shael, me, Mike, and Steve, we tend to run, I guess, with the same crowd because we live in similar neighborhoods. Our kids use the same, let's say, parks, ball fields, performing arts centers, and tutors sometimes, okay? Places like Huntington, Catholic high schools, and Sylvan are telling these kids who are, like they said, some kids are very nervous about this test, but they can't sleep nights. They're having stomach problems. Stomach doctors are overflowed. You can't get a young child into a stomach doctor anywhere on Staten Island for weeks, okay? They're being told by these places to just opt out or not show up for the day of the test, especially if they have over an 85% average. Because what they're being told is anything, the only thing the test can do is hurt you, especially coming from Catholic schools when parents have 8th graders who are going into that Catholic school on the hopes of playing for one of their teams, and the Catholic school don't want that child to get sent to summer school because there goes baseball camp or football camp or lacrosse camp, whatever. So they're being told that. Now, there's been several meetings, and I've attended a number of them, in regards to these tests, where the first thing that the school is telling the parents is, a lot of these children are going to fail. High 90 students, high 4 students are going to fail.
Yeah.
When I spoke to the people running the meetings, sometimes it's a parent coordinator, sometimes it's teachers, sometimes it's principals, they said this is what we're being told to say. You know, is that true? Now the third thing is test packets. Some schools bought test packets that came home over the holiday break. And these test packets really freaked out the parents. I was in Virginia for the week between Palm Sunday and Easter, or Passover week, and I was getting calls and emails like crazy on my cell phone that these kids opened up the test package, especially with the math curriculum, and the kids had no clue what to do because some schools were on the everyday math program. And when you attend these meetings, they said 30%, I'm just going to give you one example. They said 30% of the test is going to be based on fractions. And in the 4th grade, everyday math, a lot of complaints came from 4th grade parents. The everyday math curriculum don't even touch on fractions till the end, until May. So now we have 8, 9 school days between the kids get back from the break to teach these kids adding, addition, multiplication, dividing, mixed numbers, and what to do with improper fractions. The parents will panic, kids will panic. And most parents were told, we don't want you to help your children because we want to see where the children are at. We're trying to do this. They're not being graded on it. We're just trying to assess them. Parents are saying, if I would have let my child done that out of 70 questions, whatever it was, 75 questions, they would have gotten 30 to 40 wrong because a big bunch was based on fractions. Now, I saw one of the parents show me their everyday math book, and sure enough, the only fraction portion that was covered under everyday math so far in this one school was there'd be 5 boxes, 3 to 5 boxes would be shaded, and the child would say that would be 3/5 of the fraction. So, is this test going to be curved in any way? And the same thing, can we get some kind of letter from you or the chancellor to the principals, students, and the parents on what is going to happen, and there will be no retribution if the child does stay home for those tests. I mean, I'm not promoting opting out or going. Again, my kids are going to take the test, but this seems to be a whole big question of the opt-out issue. Several parents claim that they spoke with the state education commissioner, and I believe, Mike, you can verify this for me, correct? They were told that a parent can't opt out, but the child can say, I refuse to take it.
From what I understand on the New York State law,
Hold on.
from what I understand on the New York State law,
There is no parental opt-out, but there is something called an administrative refusal code. So if the child is sitting and they don't take the test, then it's 999, but it's not a parental opt-out.
Yeah, okay, but let me just, but people like me and Mike,
So there's been a lot of rumors online about this 999 code, and it's false. There is no difference that is made under the state rules, whether a kid is coded as 999 or not. If you're not there and you don't take the test, you don't get counted in the participation rate, and if you are there and you don't take the test, it's exactly the same. And if a kid is in school and decides and it says they don't want to take the test, they'll be given another activity to do. The kid is kept home and they don't take the test, and the parent has excused the absence, like any kind of absence. There's never been any retribution as a result of a kid doing this, and you're correct that there's no formal process for this. That's the reality under the law. There is no formal process of this, but there's not going to be a retribution related to this. And I think that, you know, the decision that folks need to make is, and I think it's obviously something that you all are thinking hard about. I would encourage you to allow your kids to do this, but also reassure them that there isn't going to be a negative impact for them. The question you asked about the Catholic school admission process, I don't know. Well, that's not true, actually, because there's no.
When you make progress in the work on student achievement, forcing principals to take that position.
Well, let me answer the first question about teachers. So, under the new state law around teacher evaluation, there will be eventually a part of a teacher's grade that connects to the state exam. That's not in effect yet. This test will have zero impact on teachers. Okay, and we have communicated that in all of the documents that we've given to schools and to teachers. We've written to them about it, and it's on this FAQ that I posted last week. And so that is not true. There is no impact. When we do have an agreement with the union, which would take effect for next school year, next spring's test for teachers who teach kids that have a state exam, the exam counts for 20% of their score.
Well, then you
And
teach
so,
teachers how to deal with that pressure, because they're putting it on our fifth graders.
yeah, I take your criticism. I think that it's helpful for me to hear that, and it's something that we will try to address. We are also in the process of trying to address it, and if it hasn't worked yet, then we'll keep working at it.
But what I'm saying is, can we address it in the next day or two with some impact to the parents and the students? So everybody's on board. That's why we asked you here, because again, no matter what, we want to hear from the man who's running this. And we want the answers, like I said, whether we agree with or disagree with it, we want to know the facts of what the options are, and this is what happens. And that's what's happening, like some people are saying. The rumors, the internet, the children themselves. On my way here, I got 2 calls from parents saying, "Are you going to tonight's meeting? You school board?" I said, "Yeah, I haven't heard from these parents in like 2-3 years." "Well, my kid just called me at work and said, opt me out, opt me out. I heard from so-and-so that I could be opted out of the test." I'm not kidding, okay? And the mother literally called me on my way here. Wonderful. And that's why I was so late. I didn't leave them to the park. I was just going to be here for 6 o'clock. You know, and that, what we need is, we need some kind of letter saying, or any kind of policy saying, this is what it is, this is what's going to happen, this is how it's determined.
This is the purpose, for the other parents that request the same thing, this is the purpose of publishing the frequently asked questions. It's why we're continuing to collect questions. It's in black and white. It's something that we've also got. The answers are on the paper. online. I have a copy here, you can find it online as well.
I'll be putting a link to the FAQs on the CEC website, so anything that's happening here tonight's meeting, you'll be able to look through the CEC website, which is www.cec31.org. And we're on Facebook.
What about the 99% of the people in the city who aren't here tonight? How do they find out that information? Why can't a note be sent home to all the parents?
Yep.
I think I know the reason. It's probably because nobody will come to the test. But it seems to me like a simple photocopy would solve the problem.
I think we will be giving it to principals for any parents that ask for the information so that they can share it.
Can we go to the next question, please, Mike?